What's up, guys? Welcome to the third and final game in the Zoids vs. trilogy, Zoids vs. One. Yes, I'm finally getting around to the third and final game. So this is actually the first game in the trilogy. I did this trilogy in the worst order you possibly could, which is 2, 3, 1. But at the time I did Zoids Battle Legends, which is versus 2, it was the only game that you could play, and it was also the only one in English. So this one again is using the Japanese Gamecube. And we're going to go ahead and start with the story campaign. And the two story campaigns are just like in Zoids Battle Legends, where you have two separate ones for the Healing Republic and the Gylos Empire. And we have new characters specifically for this story that are not seen in any of the anime series, if you're not familiar with the Zoids Versus or Zoids Saga series. So the character I'm playing right now is Zam. In a couple of changes from the other Zoids Versus games, the pilots do not have anything. There's nothing special about the pilots at all except for your voice actor. There's no additional stat buffs or anything like that the pilots give you. They're pretty much just for aesthetics and the voice acting. And the Zoid we're going to be using in this first mission is the Snipe Master, which I don't think I've ever demonstrated before. So I'm definitely going to be taking advantage of that. And it has two weapons. It has a melee weapon, which is its front claws, and also has a rear-facing sniper rifle, just like the gun sniper. I will say this already, these fights are going to be going really fast. Like, you thought it was fast in Zoids vs. 3, these fights are going to be going by incredibly fast, so I may not even have enough time to commentate on them. That was a fight against it was a training battle against our ally there and his Gojulus. His Gojulus is unarmed. It's essentially just a training battle to give you practice hitting something, which I think is nice. They actually give you like a proper training battle like that, unlike in the second game where the first fight is against, a pseudo-boss essentially, and can actually be quite challenging. So that's it for the Snipe Master. I'm not going to use that for the rest of the game, but it was nice to show it off. One thing about the sniper rifle weapons in this game is you do not have a zooming reticle. You basically just blind fire, or you fire with a targeting reticle from third person. They still deal a lot of damage though, but that can be kind of a hindrance. So on to the second fight. We're going to be using the Cannon Tortoise for this, which is also the first time I've demonstrated the Cannon Tortoise on screen in a Zoids versus Let's Play. I've played as it before in the other games plenty of times, but this is the first time I've demonstrated it on screen. So the Cannon Tortoise is a very small artillery style Zoid used by the Healing Republic. It can be a little bit tanky, but overall it's just a small squishy Zoid, very limited in mobility and anti-Zoid weapons. It really only has the main cannon, and then it has the little machine guns at the bottom there. We're going to be fighting some Mulgas, which are the Gylos Empire's equivalent to... they're essentially just a cannon fodder, caterpillar type Zoid. But there's also an artillery version of the Mulga, which is not playable in Zoids vs. 1. We also have this Saber Tiger here, or it was known as the Saber Fang in English because they tried to localize it and put a Z there to try to make it sound funny. But yeah, it's the Saber Tiger in Japanese. So this is a stock Saber Tiger. It has the regular stock weapons. And as you can see, the biggest problem with this game and the gameplay is, unlike in its sequels, this game has this notorious problem with cocking the camera to the side at this weird angle, and it just absolutely cripples some of the combat. And you're gonna see me complain about that throughout. It's really quite annoying. I'm skipping all the dialogue and all the cutscenes because we can't understand what they're saying anyway, unfortunately. So you guys will see that throughout the game. If there's a new character that shows up, I'll try to comment on it. But overall, it's the same characters that we know from the next two games in the series. So the only thing I'm having trouble with right now is, I think another thing about this game is you cannot just de-equip the sub-parts from your Zoids. Like, I can't actually take off the sub-part by just hitting the left trigger button on the GameCube controller. I actually have to equip it to a different Zoid, which is really kind of frustrating. So after the previous fight, we unlocked a gun sniper, and the fight before that, we unlocked this command wolf, so I'm probably going to use that. I think I may go... The default color for the command wolf is actually blue in this game, which is technically not a stock command wolf when you think about it. Seeing a stock command wolf with the blue is actually kind of weird. but there's no variants of any of the Zoids in this game like there are in the future games in the series. There's no Command Wolf AC, Command Wolf Irvine, things like that. So all the Zoids have their same stock setups, and we just are able to equip them with different parts and things like that. Let's go ahead and change our entry over to the Command Wolf, and we'll be using this for quite a while for the next few missions. So I've already demonstrated the Command Wolf plenty of times in the other games. It is essentially, it's sort of a medium infantry, like the, it's the workhorse of the Helix Republic army. It's an all-around good fighting Zoid, and it's equal on the Empire side as the Attack Cat or Hellcat, although those are not seen in this game either. So this battle is up against 3 Saber Tigers, I believe. And again, you're going to see the controls absolutely cripple me here. So I have a missile launcher, which is a missile launcher I don't think I've ever really used before with the Command Wolf. And then I'm using the long-range rifle. So I'm essentially using Irvine's Command Wolf setup from the anime, which I've not really demonstrated before. So there's a Saber Tiger. Long-range rifle is pretty decent. One thing you will notice is a lot of the Zoids in this game, the enemy Zoids, are a lot more susceptible to projectile weapons and arms fire than in the other games in the series. So for instance, we just took out that Saber Tiger, which is kind of a tough Zoid for a Command Wolf to take on, in all honesty. We just took it out incredibly easily just because of the way this game is balanced. You may see that their maximum health has been reduced for the sake of making it easier, which is fine and makes sense, but in the later games in the series, they cranked up the difficulty in the enemy health because the controls actually worked. So, don't get me wrong, they only have about 1,000 health. That's really quite pathetic for a Saber Tiger. But anyway, the whole reason why I'm doing this Let's Play is because I do enjoy this game, and I enjoy all 3 of the games in the series, and the Zoids vs. Trilogy is the most compatible with Let's Playing out of any of the Zoids games out there, for me at least, in terms of genre and gameplay and overall quality. But that does not mean I will not gripe about some of the shortcomings of Versus 1. For instance, there's no victory music when you finish a fight. The camera doesn't rotate around your character. You just have the Japanese voice that says success with some kanji on the screen there. Good thing about it is this Let's Play is going to be very short. But that being said, this is a treat for you guys, all of the Zoids fans that have followed me over the years. Shout outs to the Zoids Collectors group on Facebook. I've had a lot of great times with you guys over the last year or so. The Zoids fandom group as well. I've gotten a lot more heavily into the Zoids model kits and collecting over the last couple years. After the Zoids Battle Legends Let's Play, and you guys kind of reminded me of why I was a Zoids fan in the first place. Then the Zoids vs. 3 Let's Play happened in by the end of 2015 or the beginning of 2016, and that's still probably my most favorite Let's Play I've ever made. It's up there, at least with my favorites. And the audience reception definitely spoke to that, even though the audience reception for some of my newer stuff is not quite able to reach that height that the other Zoids games were. So this is kind of just a treat for you guys, for bearing with me, and just supporting me in the Zoids fandom, because I think it's still a really great series, and Kotobukiya is still making high-end master models, so continue to support the franchise. So this battle right here is, we have some Rev Raptors we have to take out, which are still pretty small and frail, but they can be pretty dangerous because of the way the laser blades are damaged, or the counter scythe as it's called. We have now the most broken weapon in the entire series, the dual sniper rifle. Yay! You guys are totally not sick of me using this at this point, are you? Actually, for that reason, I'm going to be withholding myself from using it unless I absolutely have to. This is actually a really nice city stage. This is a similar stage to the city we get later in later games, but it's almost like it's more open and less blocked off than in the later games. So anyway, as I was saying, this is a treat for you guys, and as a result, I want to demonstrate some Zoids, some weaker Zoids, the more common infantry ones that I think are really great, but you don't get to appreciate as much because, you know, in Zoids vs. 3, we were playing as these super-powered Zoids, and I really want to show off, like, the grunt Zoids, really. The ones that I really appreciate, but we never get a chance to really show off. I really want to show off as many different types of Zoids that I don't get to show off in the other games, and as many different weapon combinations as possible. So I want to do some different things. And immediately as I say that, we unlock the Blade Liger and render that comment useless. One thing I'll say is the Blade Liger actually has less health in this game than it does in the other games. It has 2,300, where I think it has like 2,600 in the other games. We are going to equip the attack boosters because I love the attack boosters, although they behave very differently in this game than they do in the later games. And I don't really care for that. We're going to make sure we have the rocket booster equipped instead of the shield. And some subparts. No armor for it right now, but I'm not even worried about subparts in this Let's Play, to be honest with you, at all. But anyway, so showing off the Snipe Master and the Cannon Tortoise is part of that, but I want to do some different combinations of things. So, like, I don't want to abuse the dual sniper rifle if I don't have to. So I want to show off things like the D-Bison more often. I want to show off maybe a Shadow Fox with a different weapon, a Command Wolf with a different weapon, things like that. Just stuff that I don't get to show off often. I already have some pretty good ideas for that, but if you guys have any suggestions, make sure you let me know. A lot of this has already been... the game has already kind of been recorded up until the end, but that doesn't mean I can't squeeze in a bonus episode or two just for you guys. So if you guys thought the laser blades were broken in Battle Legends, you haven't seen anything yet. So not only do they have unlimited ammo again back in Zoids vs. 1, but they have the invulnerability frames are almost non-existent on the enemy Zoid, so we can just savagely cut through anything in our path. The blades are so broken in this game, so that applies to the Blade Liger, the counter scythe on the Rev Raptor, and the blades on the the Liger 0X? Yeah, Liger 0X. So here's a demonstration of the attack boosters. They send out these weird electric projectile things similar to what we saw on the Diablo Tiger in the later games, but I don't really care for that. I prefer the beam that has like a little bit of target tracking, like we saw in the later games. But yeah, I'm going to only really abuse this when I have to, otherwise I'm not going to be abusing the blades. In Zoids vs. 3, they fixed this by giving the blades a finite amount of ammo. They were still obscenely powerful, but you couldn't abuse them forever because they would eventually run out of ammo, which I think is great. They would have 100 ammo, 100 battery life, I guess, as opposed to, you know, infinite. So I was going to use the D-Bison on this next mission here because I wanted to demonstrate it, but what I didn't realize is that the Death Stinger is on this upcoming mission. Also, the D-Bison only has 1,900 health, which is pitiful compared to how it should be and how it is in the later games. They really balanced it to make it properly powerful like it's supposed to be. So it has like 2,400, something like that in the later games. So after about 3 attempts, I was not able to defeat the Death Stinger with the D-Bison, mainly because the controls were crippled, and again the invulnerability frames. When the Death Stinger does its lunge attack like it does in the other games to try to run you over, it can just pretty much instantly kill you if you get underneath of it, and we don't want that. So I'm going to be switching to the Command Wolf, getting a lock on it with the dual sniper rifle, and just kind of backing up to get out of its way. Again, its pathfinding is kind of weird because it'll just walk right over you and then ready its attack, like it doesn't even know exactly where you are. But overall, I don't think that's too much of a flaw. Really, I just feel like the aiming is where things get bad. And here we are fighting our first boss, really. So inevitably, we have to use the strategy, which is the circle strafing back and forth and using our powerful ranged weapon. We're not going to even attempt to use any kind of melee attacks or anything like that on a boss. We just kind of have to make sure we maintain this sort of strafing formation to dodge the enemy fire, and then just open up on it with the dual sniper rifle. The Death Stinger has 9,000 health, as well as the Death Soarer. There are no other bosses in Zoids vs. 1. No Mad Thunder, no Ultrasaurus, no Seismosaurus. We also have a Lightning Sykes here, but I don't think that's even necessary to take that out in order to complete the mission. Yep, sure enough.